What's going on, everybody? This is Nick Lawson from Squad Sports. We're really excited to be supporting the Free Agent Friday series. A lot of great talent out there. Without further ado, this is the next free agent you should be signing with your sports team.
All right, we're back again for another Free Agent Friday. Today we've got Dylan Hammon joining me. How are you, Dylan?
I'm doing well, Andrew. How are you?
Doing real good. It's a beautiful day today.
Always.
So, hey, tell me about your college experience.
So I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio, and went just about 2 hours west to Miami University in Oxford. So I went there as an undergrad, started in 2014, graduated in 18. It really wasn't until probably my sophomore year that sports is really the direction that I wanted to go. So went through about a full year trying to really figure out, as an undecided, the direction I wanted to go. It was really the first year of college was my first year without playing sports at all too. So kind of gave me an option to, really scratch that itch a little bit to get back into sports since I wasn't playing as much. So getting back in and learning about the business side of it, started working for the athletics department. So started that sophomore year and then kind of worked my way through the rest of college there in the athletics department, doing various internships during the summer. So it was really great 4 years at Miami. Love the university, and it really was the first taste of the business side of sports that I was able to get.
What really drew you to the sports industry?
Say overall, it was just knowing that from as young as I can remember, 6 years old, playing sports really for the first time as a team sport, and then up through senior year of high school. Going into freshman year of college, I had, taken a step back, had a potential opportunities to play a couple different club sports, but decided not to go that route. And instead, after about a year of really not doing anything outside of like intramurals or recreation, there was kind of that want to get back into that, or at least kind of have that experience of being a part of the team again. Obviously just not as a player. So, when I worked for the athletics department at Miami, I was doing equipment management for the men's and women's basketball team and women's volleyball. So being able to be a part of that team again, get out on the court a little bit and just have that experience was huge. And that's kind of what I really missed about being an athlete. So just kind of getting that experience behind the scenes was really what drew me back in.
What sports did you play in high school?
So I was a water polo player in the fall and the summer, and then did basketball in the winter.
Nice.
Yeah.
When you were at Miami University, did you have any other internships outside of the university there?
Yeah, so a couple early on in college, it was really just to help make money, help pay for school a little bit. And it probably wasn't until summer going into senior year that I really took a leap in the sports internship world. In Cincinnati, they have the Western and Southern Tennis Open, which was really the first events and operations focused internship that I had worked before. And in conjunction with that, I worked with USA Football. They had a local, up in Canton, Ohio, they had a local development camp going on for their youth teams. So had an opportunity to work operations for that as well. So those two really kind of kickstarted outside of Miami, the new experiences that I got in sports.
So when you got, after you graduated, what was kind of your first role coming out of school?
Yeah. So back in, I think it was probably over spring break, my senior year, when I got the offer for an internship with the Browns, doing a summer training camp there, and then worked with them through the season on game days in various capacities. So the Browns, which was started in July, just kind of with the training camp beginning and end, and really had to find out what was I going to do beforehand, and came across a really neat opportunity with organization called Living Sport LLC, which they do an international sports business program, taking 20 to 30 students abroad to work an international sporting event. So back in June of 2018, had the opportunity to travel to London, worked the Royal Windsor Triathlon over there. And that was it was the first time I'd ever been out of the country. Never took the chance to do a study abroad program at Miami. So this was really the first leap outside of the state of Ohio. I really had never worked a job out of Ohio before. Really hadn't taken a big trip except for, like a summer or spring vacation. So really jumped at the opportunity to go abroad. We spent 10 days over there traveled around London and worked in events. So, it was just a huge experience coming out of college. And I think that really kind of jump-started my career once I graduated.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I've met a few people that have gone through the Living Sport program, and sounds really cool.
Well,
For a week or two, whatever it is, going overseas, an experience of a lifetime.
Yeah, well, and just that, and outside of it, with a lot of study abroad programs, like you're going over there, you're taking your classes and you're traveling around. But I think adding on that work experience on top of that, just really
Absolutely
such a well-rounded program. And even since then, I've had the chance to continue traveling with them. I went to Milan a few months after that with Living Sport, and then this past December, we took a group to Cancun to work one of their other partner events. So,
man, it sounds rough. Yeah, I know you don't get probably much time to do anything, but
when they come knocking, it's hard to tell them no, like to go on another trip. So, many of those experiences as possible. It's been awesome.
So, how about after that? What was your next role?
Yeah, so kind of my steps through following graduation, finished up with Living Sport, then started my internship with the Cleveland Browns. And then right after training camp, spent a little bit of time with the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission as an intern. So spent about 2 months there, and then transitioned into my first full-time role. I worked for the Cleveland Cavaliers doing partnership activation in their corporate partnerships department. So that was really that first jump into a full-time role. Spent about nearly a full season with them before I moved out here to Colorado with USA Triathlon. So I've been out here for pretty close to a year and a half now. Moved out in early March of 2019. So it's been an awesome experience out here. I'm a events coordinator with USA Triathlon, and getting back to kind of the Living Sport experience, going over to London, working the Royal Windsor Triathlon, I think I can really attest the role that I'm in now to the experience that I had abroad there. We talk a lot about, what helps students stand out when they're finishing up school and kind of vying for that first full-time position. And I think that experience, that unique experience of traveling abroad and then also working a triathlon over there, kind of just really impressed the team here, and was fortunate enough to get that role.
What kind of role are you looking for now? Like, what would be an ideal position for you?
I'd say kind of that events role, the operations focus has always been my strong suit, and it's always been something that I've been drawn to. And I say it a lot, and I said it, when USA Triathlon first posted the position for the events coordinator was, I probably, to start out, I couldn't have written a better job description for what I wanted to do. And I think now it's really, how can I push the envelope to, do a little bit more. And I think that's one thing that's kind of helped with this role, is there's a lot to kind of expand on and do beyond the job description, the kind of other duties as assigned.
Yeah, I see those all the time. Yeah.
Finding the cool, niche way to make the role your own. So looking, for those opportunities and stuff. And I think now it's really, I think I'm in a position where, I've really, started to become that kind of expert in this role, and I'm really trying to figure out, how can I take that next step to then, achieve that kind of overarching, dream job or dream role. So
are you, any kind of, events or things you worked on that you're most proud of while you've been there?
Yeah, honestly, it was unfortunate with all of our events that we own and operate have been canceled this year just due to the pandemic. And it was kind of unfortunate, because just taking that step from year one to year two, we had a lot of cool ancillary pieces to our events outside of the racing itself that we had planned, and I was kind of in charge of spearheading a lot of those pieces. So we did a lot of the pre-planning for it, and it was pretty all in place, just waiting for us to site and put on the event. So, unfortunately, a lot of what we had planned for this year is going to fall through, but I'm excited to start in 2021 once we hit the ground running and hopefully see all of that stuff come to fruition. So yeah, a few different things, that we were working on outside of just the racing itself that, I was really excited for, but obviously having to wait another year for it to happen.
Yeah, it's rough. How about, what would you say is your biggest skill that you'll bring to a new position?
Honestly, I never would have said this back in college, but I would I would say it's probably my creativity and just kind of that creative mindset that I bring to the table. It's one thing I think I've excelled in my role currently with triathlon is the ability to come in and just view, the job differently than what's actually written down. Coming in and looking at our events and saying, how can we do it differently, or what can we add to make it a better experience? And that's one thing, that I think has helped kind of my progression with triathlon, and obviously have worked hard to make our events bigger and better. So having that creative mindset, I'd say, I never really considered myself a creative person, because, I feel like most people think of that as like, you're artsy, or, you're musically inclined and things like that, which I definitely am not. But I think when it comes to like creating something from an event standpoint, has really, I've been able to thrive in recently.
You got to have vision. You got to be able to see what isn't there right now when you're creating it, especially when you're creating new stuff. So it's definitely a big asset. What would you say is the area you need to work on the most?
I think it's the kind of the risk taking. I've always been a very analytical person. So making sure that, the numbers line up, that everything makes sense. And especially with, trying to take, events and things like that to the next level. Sometimes you can't always look at things analytically. You have to take some time and be like,
whoa,
we're going to go for it. And if it works out, that's a huge win. And if it doesn't, we can tweak it and make adjustments and things. So I think, that opportunity is really to kind of push the envelope a little bit and take more risks.
Are you open to relocation?
That was, I'd say the one thing holding me back from the first time when I got the offer with USA Triathlon is, as I mentioned, never worked a job out of Ohio before. It was Columbus, it was Oxford when I was at Miami, and then it was in Cleveland after graduation. So outside of those three cities, really didn't have a lot of experience, and it took a lot of soul searching to say, like, I'm going to take that leap and drive
the big
20
move.
hours out to Colorado. So yeah, I mean, that was, I'd say, when it comes to relocation and things like that, it was a huge challenge, and it took a lot of thought to finally, say, the experience is worth it, and getting out here and taking this type of role.
Yeah. How would you define success?
I would say, pushing the boundaries. As I mentioned, you look at a job description, you kind of see what those standards are, and those are the expectations when you come into the role is, here are the things that we expect you to get done on the day-to-day basis. And at the end of the year, all these are going to be checked off. But then, when you reevaluate at the end of the year, what did you do differently? Did you bring something different to the table? Were you creative? Did you take risks? So defining success is, what did you do to go beyond, just that description that you would look at, from your job's perspective, and kind of making the job your own. So, that's one thing I've looked to do a lot in this role. And as I mentioned, coming in with a creative mindset and trying to figure out, what hasn't been done before, or what has been done, and how can we do it better? So, bringing, that mindset to the table, I think, it impresses people, and they notice that. And that's when you really start to get that trust in others to, be able to take those risks. And I think that's where I'm coming into that mindset a little bit, where, people are starting to trust me to be able to take those risks. And I think that's what's going to help me kind of take that next step.
How about a personal fun fact about you?
So when we were working Cleveland Browns training camp after graduation in 2018, it was actually the summer that the Browns had Hard Knocks training camp. So yeah, we had HBO all around, and we would watch it, like the group of our interns would watch it together pretty much every time it aired, and just we were pointing out everybody that showed up on camera, and we all of our duties ranged from, we had people helping out on the field. We had like inflatables and stuff for the fans that were, and the spectators that were in attendance for training camp. Other people working the main gate to check tickets and stuff. So, you'd see people in the funniest spaces. There was one of our interns was in a shot with Myles Garrett right behind him flexing. So he was standing right in front of Myles Garrett as he was walking and flexing to the camera. So some of those small tidbits of camp, it was kind of the funniest thing, and almost like a little blooper for our intern team.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool to be looking for that. Are you a Buckeyes fan, being from Columbus? Or
yeah, big time. Dad worked for Ohio State for a number of years, and probably since '99. So yeah, always grew up, went to a handful of football games a year. So
Probably the coolest place I've watched a college football game. Now, I haven't been to many college football games, but I will say it was awesome. 100,000+ people and just rocking. So
what game or who would they playing against?
hell, it was against I saw them against Cincinnati. So early season games. Cincinnati was one, and Ohio. Is it Ohio University or University?
Yeah,
Like whatever's down in. Is it Athens?
yeah.
Which I mean, they were both blowouts, but still, I mean, it was a cool experience. And I used to live in Canton, Ohio for 7 years, so that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it all the heartbreaks and all the good wins. I remember that I was at like the USC game back in, what was it, probably 2011 when we played them at home. And then I was at the Vautech game in 14 when we lost. Fortunately, we ended the season well, but yeah, I've definitely been in some heartbreaks.
Well, thanks for joining me, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. I appreciate it. And thanks for the time.